Good morning, everybody. I wanted to get the ball rolling on some more news. It is January 17th, 2024, and it's snowing outside, although we were supposed to get some rain to melt it away, and that's not happening. So I guess my lines are still frozen for another day or so. Anywho, starting with the UFO stuff, as usual, we have a piece that showed up on Fox News, which I sort of lament, but, these guys seem to be the only folks. Murdoch folks seem to be the only people covering the subject, almost. And that's almost a little bit concerning, but, this one's called Close Encounters of a Congressional Kind. Lawmakers struggle to grasp alleged interdimensional nature of UFOs. And, that word, interdimensional, has become a bit of a buzzword, as we'll see. And a lot of people don't understand what that really means. And there's varying definitions of what it could mean, depending on who you ask. So, right, and it's a little bit concerning at first. What happened on the grassy knoll at Dealey Plaza in Dallas? Does a mysterious serpentine beast glide through the icy waters of Loch Ness? I'd say more like brackish brown waters. Is there life on other planets? Perhaps it's only natural. Congress is now probing whether the government is covering up possible evidence of UFOs. And so, yeah, interesting intro. They're stretching, but then, there's not a lot of new information coming out, and this is sort of dancing around the information that has come out and what's been blocked. It's probably more interesting to look at what's been blocked and the amount of information not forthcoming, even when it's been requested, right? So if there was nothing there, you'd expect nothing there, not a bunch of blockages. The idea that they're blocking something seems to insinuate there's something behind the veil. What's this giant curtain? Oh, nothing. Well, if it's nothing, then why did you put a giant curtain there? Nothing would need a giant curtain. The timing for this type of congressional inquest into the mystery is only right. Suspicions abound about the origins of the pandemic and conspiracies about the safety of vaccines. Couple that with skepticism about the media, veracity of election results, and the government in general. Blah, 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 blah. So, sounds like we're being lumped into a big pot together with all the other conspiracy theories that shouldn't be called conspiracy theories. By the way, that was a term, I think, that was coined in the 1960s to describe people that were investigating the Vietnam War happenings and people that were concerned about the official cover story for the Kennedy assassination. So, if somebody goes and calls you a conspiracy theorist, wear that as a badge of pride and honor. It means you're asking some interesting and possibly correct questions. So this is generally about the briefing that folks like Luna and Burchett recently had on the House Oversight Committee. They had a classified briefing in a skiff. Burchett says they were stonewalled. Representative Raja Krishnamurti, Democrat, said that he has wasted time in there. He was more concerned than when he went in. There's a concerted effort to conceal as much information as possible. Lawmakers contend they aren't hearing from people who really know what's out there. So, it seems like the Defense Department is just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks and get this group off their track, right? Shit, figures. There's so much stuff out there. They could just drop a little bit of woo. They could drop what few things they have that don't really lead anywhere, and or some of the more concerning stuff. Some of these folks that bring up religious concerns, like, oh, it could be demons. It could be angels. And don't you, feel bad for even investigating these things? You don't even know what you're getting into. And the fear tactics and the scare tactics fear porn around these subjects. So I think that where does the interdimensional come in here? I will say that like that word is way overused, and dimensions aren't like different locations. I think that's more like mini worlds, if that's correct, in multiple universes. Dimensions are things like space, time, length, width. We have the spatial dimensions and the temporal dimensions, and there's more above and beyond that are very much more difficult to explain because they're counterintuitive to the way we exist. But those are dimensions, and so when some folks say dimensions in this context, this sci-fi or this UFO context, I think they're probably more likely talking about alternate universes, and which also might exist, and and kind of like, if you ever heard of a show called Sliders back in the 90s, they'd go between dimensions in rifts that they would place, and I think some constructed wormholes and some natural wormholes. They're going between locations in alternate universes, but those were called dimensions, and I think that's stuck in a lot of people's mind, in the public mind, as far as what a dimension means. So there's something I can't discuss in a public setting, Grush replied. He implied that the U.S. might have some sort of life form that's not fully understood. He said biologics. Somebody asked human or non-human. He says non-human without hesitation. But that's very sensitive material. They're not getting any heads or tails on anybody showing them. Even in the classified briefings, you're sort of getting the runaround. Burchett said, pretty definitive stuff, just verified what I thought. Can't say what it is. Yeah. Language and framing is paramount. The same is true in intelligence circles. Apparently it's true when it comes to explaining the unexplained, like UFOs. So let's focus on the language. Representative Luna questioned Grush about why he referred to potential beings as non-human intelligence and not extraterrestrials. And this gets into the meat of it. Can't necessarily prove or show that these things come from other planets. Grush previously referred to such entities as interdimensional. Luna asked what interdimensional means. Something that bends. Is this something that bends time and space? And Grush didn't respond directly to that. So that could mean that. One of my theories is that there's possibly wormholes that open. There are natural Earth energies and space energies that could themselves be what you could call sentient or quote unquote organic. In a sense, that's not to say that there aren't extraterrestrials coming here from other planets or beings from alternate universes skirting through as they meld the dimensions, the actual spatial temporal dimensions, using high energy devices that push the limit of the Schwinger limit, and operate in the Planck space using extremely high energies and extremely small spaces of time, and in order to affect what we'd call a wormhole, aka Einstein-Rosen bridge, could be that they skirt through our reality briefly in order to get to other locations in their reality. And if you want to know more about this, we talk about that in some pieces I've done here, interviews on this channel about warp physics and how these things might actually work. So the term interdimensional pertains to the theory there are multiple dimensions of space and time coexisting at once. One long-standing theory about UFOs is that what we may see on Earth isn't even something from another planet or far across the galaxy. Could it be something which broke across the plane of the dimension where we reside from its location in another dimension. And that's the thing about these things. If you were to think about a 4D sphere, it as it intersects our three-dimensional space-time, it would appear as a small ball growing bigger and then diminishing and disappearing possibly. And that is not... That's very, very typically things like what we see. Spheres and tiny balls and balls of light and silver balls and stuff like that. That seem to resemble a perfect sphere, and there's a lot of other things, but the idea that something could suddenly appear and suddenly disappear would almost seem to indicate, a higher technology that could intersect multiple dimensions of space and time, and so it's not that odd if you consider it at that higher level. And that's the real proper definition of interdimensional versus, they came here from another dimension. It's just really not correct phrasing of the issue. So what Fox asked Luna if maybe what we're dealing with is so thorny and beyond the norm that conventional science and physics could struggle to grasp this. I think we can understand it, Luna said, without hinting at what lawmakers are trying to understand. We used this quotation before when writing about UFOs, but it bears repeating. In Shakespeare, Hamlet tells Horatio that there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. In other words, there's a panoply of possibilities people haven't even fathomed yet. The truth may be out there. Could it be impregnable for mere mortals? Right? So could these things be irascible or unfathomable to our local corporeal meat suit space-time, without higher energy technologies or higher states of consciousness, and or that we're not born into it, right? What if there are beings that are essentially, born in the fourth dimension, the way that, or we're in the fourth dimension, born in the fifth dimension, the way that we are born into the fourth, right? We have 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time. What if, they're more habituated to an existence where time is as easy to move across and between and back and forth as, a river or, to pick up a rock in real life as we experience and be able to move that rock around. What if time has a body like that to beings that exist in that higher dimensional plane? So that's that for this particular thing. And we'll have to get to you later. Thanks for listening. Bye.